Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and I hope you're all doing amazing. Today I'm going to show you how I made these really cute crochet coasters that are perfect for summer, but obviously perfect for all year round, but they do have a summery vibe, and they're a perfect way to use up any scrap yarn. And I really hope you guys enjoy this video and decide to make them for yourself. And for materials, you're just going to need any scrap yarn of your choice. So these were the colors that I used. And then I used a 4mm crochet hook and then a pair of scissors. So for round one, I'm going to use this white yarn. So to start, I made a slip knot as usual. And you can do this in your preferred method. And then I'm just going to insert my hook into the lip of the slip knot and pull the loose end to tighten. Then I'm going to do a chain 4, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're then going to insert your hook into the very first stitch of the chain 4 that you made, so into the stitch furthest away from the hook, and then you're going to slip stitch into that stitch. So yarning over, pulling up a loop, and then pulling that loop through the loop already on your hook. I then did a double crochet into the middle of that 4 chain slip stitch circle that I had just made. So yarning over, inserting my hook into the middle of the circle, yarning over, pulling up a loop, then yarning over, pulling through the first 2 loops, and then yarning over and pulling through the last 2 loops on my hook. I then did 11 more double crochets into the middle of that circle, so doing 12 double crochets in total. And once I had made the 12 double crochets into the middle of the circle, I then did a slip stitch into the very first double crochet we made. So inserting my hook into the stitch, yarning over, pulling up a loop, and then pulling that loop through the loop already on my hook. I then cut the yarn and pulled that loose end through the loop on my hook. So for the second round, I got this purple yarn. I then just inserted my hook into one of the stitches, and this can be any of the double crochet stitches that we have just made. I then made a loop with the purple yarn, and then I pulled that loop through the stitch that I had just inserted my hook into, so pulling up a loop like so, and then I did a chain 3, and this counts as a double crochet. I then did a double crochet into the same stitch, so crocheting into the stitch that I had just done the chain 3 into. I then did a chain 1, and then I did 2 double crochets into the next stitch. So 1, and 2, and then doing a chain 1, and then just repeating this pattern the whole way around, so doing 2 double crochets into each stitch, followed by a chain 1 after the 2 double crochets. So essentially 2 double crochets, chain 1 into each stitch. So once I had done the 2 double crochet, chain 1 into each stitch of the previous row, I then inserted my hook into the 3rd chain stitch from the chain 3 that we made at the very start of the previous row, and then I did a slip stitch into that stitch, and then I just cut the yarn, and then I pulled the loose end through the loop on my hook. And then for the 3rd round, I got this coral color yarn, and I just inserted my hook into that chain 1 space from the previous row, so in between the 2 double crochets, and then I made a loop with that coral colored yarn on my hook, and then I pulled up a loop through that chain 1 space, and then I made a chain 4, and this is not into the chain 1 stitch, it is the gap that is between the 2 double crochets, so below the chain 1 essentially. And the chain 4 counts as a triple crochet. So we're going to do 2 more triple crochets into that same space. So yarning over twice, so you should have 3 loops on your hook, inserting your hook into the space, yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarning over and pulling through the first 2 loops on your hook, then yarning over and again pulling through the first 2 loops on your hook, and then yarning over and pulling through the last 2 loops left on your hook. And just repeating this again, so doing another triple crochet into the same space. So you should have 1 chain 4 and 2 triple crochets into that first chain 1 space. Then you're going to do a chain 1, and then you're going to work into the next chain 1 space, so that gap between the 2 double crochets from the previous row, and then you're going to do 3 triple crochets again, all into that same chain 1 space. And once you have done the 3 triple crochets into the same space, then you're just going to do a chain 1, and then you're just going to repeat this the whole way round, so doing 3 triple crochets into each chain 1 space from the previous row, and then followed by a chain 1. So essentially doing 3 triple crochets into each chain 1 space, and then doing a chain 1 in between the 3 triple crochets. And when I got to the end of the round, I then inserted my hook into the 4th chain of the chain 4 that we made at the very start of this round, and then I just inserted my hook and I made a slip stitch into that stitch. And then I just cut my yarn, and then I pulled the loose end through the loop on my hook. And that was the 3rd round finished. And then I got some blue colored yarn, and then for the 4th round I then inserted my hook into the first triple crochet stitch after a chain 1 from the previous round, and then I looped the blue yarn over my crochet hook, and then I just pulled up a loop through that triple crochet stitch, and then I just did a chain 3, and this counts as a double crochet. So I then did a double crochet into the next triple crochet stitch from the previous round. And then I did another double crochet into the next triple crochet stitch from the previous round. So you're essentially doing a double crochet into every single triple crochet stitch from the previous round. Now when you get to the chain 1 space from the previous round, you're going to insert your hook into that purple stitch that you can see from round 2, and you're going to do a double crochet into that stitch. So it should be the stitch from the 2 double crochets that we made in round 2 that you're inserting your hook into. And just a reminder, when I say stitch, I mean those 2 loops that are on top of each stitch. So I'm meaning the actual stitch. And when I say space, I'm meaning the gap between each of the stitches. I then did a double crochet into the next 3 triple crochets from the previous round. And then again, when getting to the chain 1 space from the previous round, doing a double crochet into that stitch from round 2, so the purple stitch that is directly below the chain 1 space from the previous round. So just yarning over, inserting your hook into that purple stitch from round 2 that we made by doing the 2 double crochets, and then yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarning over, pulling through the first 2 loops, and then yarning over and pulling through the last 2 loops on your hook. And then you're just going to continue doing a double crochet into each of the triple crochet stitches from the previous round. And then you're just going to continue this pattern the whole way round for the row, so doing a double crochet into those 3 triple crochet stitches, and then when you get to the chain 1 space from the previous round, then doing a double crochet into that purple stitch from round 2, so the stitch that is directly below the chain 1 space, and that was created by doing the 2 double crochets in round 2. And to finish this round, just doing a slip stitch into the 3rd chain stitch from the chain 3 that we made at the very start of this round, and then just cutting the blue yarn and then pulling the loose end through the loop on my hook. I then again got the coral yarn that I had used previously, so then just insert your hook into any of the double crochet stitches from the previous round, as long as it is not one of the long double crochet stitches. And what I mean by the long double crochet stitch is essentially just the double crochet stitches that we had made into the 2nd round, so essentially those long ones that we had done in the chain 1 space. I then just made a loop with that coral yarn on my hook, and then I pulled the loop up through the double crochet stitch, and then I did a chain 3, and this counted as a double crochet. I then did a double crochet into the next double crochet stitch from the previous round, so this is again into the short double crochets, which is just the double crochets we did in the triple crochets from round 3. And so I did 3 double crochets just normally into those short double crochets, and then when I got to the long double crochet stitch, I then just did a double crochet into the front loop only of that long double crochet stitch. So normally you'd be obviously inserting your hook into both those 2 loops, but for this just the long double crochet, we're just inserting our hook into the front loop only. So doing a double crochet into the front loop only of the long double crochet from the previous round. So then you're just going to repeat this the whole way around, so doing a double crochet normally into the 3 short double crochets, and then doing a double crochet into the front loop only when you get to the long double crochet. So doing this 12 times in total. And when I got to the end of this round, just doing the same as usual, so inserting my hook into the 3rd chain from the chain 3 at the very start and doing a slip stitch into that stitch. And then just cutting the yarn and pulling the loose end through the loop on my hook. And for the final round, I just got the same white yarn that I used to make the first round. I then inserted my hook into the last double crochet stitch of the previous round, but it really doesn't matter which double crochet you insert your hook into. I then wrapped the white yarn around my hook to make a loop, and then I pulled the loop up through the double crochet stitch, and then I made a chain 3, and this counts as a double crochet. And then I made a double crochet into the next double crochet stitch from the previous round. Now this is where it gets tricky, because you're now going to make a picot stitch, and if you don't know how to make a picot stitch, I'm going to tell you obviously. So you're going to chain 3, so 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to insert your hook into the first chain made of that chain 3, so the chain stitch that is furthest away from your hook. And then you're just going to make a slip stitch into that stitch. So doing a yarn over and pulling through all the loops on your hook. Then you're just going to do a double crochet into the next stitch of the previous round. Then doing a double crochet into the next stitch of the previous round. And then again doing a picot stitch, so doing a chain 3 and then doing a slip stitch into the first chain stitch of the chain 3. So then you're just going to continue this pattern the whole way around, so doing double crochet into one stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, and then doing a picot stitch, so doing a chain 3 and then doing a slip stitch into the first chain stitch of that chain 3, and just repeat. So continuing this the whole way around, so double crochet, picot stitch, and then double crochet, picot stitch, and just continue this the whole way around. And then again, to finish this round, inserting your hook into the third chain stitch from the very start of the round, and then just doing a slip stitch into that was stitch. The crochet coaster finished, and I ended up making so many of them because I thought they were super fun to make. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and feel free to comment any questions you guys have about the crochet coasters. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe if you liked this video.